we're looking at the weekly DXY right now. We are still inside of this weekly fair value gap and currently inside of the new day opening gap. We have wicked it, and then we closed this candle under it, and then we opened our next candle, actually I think right barely inside of it. So we have this little new day opening gap here that was just made. And obviously we have this one, but I'm not really worried about those. Those are too scrunched up, whatever. I don't want to overanalyze those. So I was talking to one of my buddies, and I came to the realization that, not realization, I've known this for a while, but we were talking about how I overthink a lot in life outside of trading, and I realized that that's what I've been dealing with inside my trading, is I'm overthinking a lot in my trading. So that's what I'm trying to work on, is simplifying it, right? And just trying not to overanalyze and get into analysis paralysis, right? So here, what I'm looking at, bullish dollar, order flow has been bullish, right? 4 hour, we're just making these legs, continuing to respect continuing to respect bullish price action. Daily looks a little weird, but 4 hour clears it up in my head. For this scenario, we have Asia expanding, right, with us. We have this 1 hour fair value gap. If we look at Euro GBP, we've made these two legs lower inside this daily fair value gap, reacted off of it, inside of a bullish fair value gap right now, and we've closed past this bearish fair value gap. So I'd say bullish Euro GBP here. So bullish dollar, bullish euro. I'm going to be looking for a bearish pound, I believe. Unless euro just looks way more correlated, then I'm just going to go with euro. If euro looks more correlated to the dollar, then I'm just going to go with that. So here we have, obviously, with Asia expanding like this, OTE model, which it's already tapped into. And Asia has tapped into the 50% of this new day opening gap. And then obviously had a strong reaction off of it. Closed through this 1 hour fair value gap, showing change in the state of delivery. British pound has taken Asia's highs. Euro has not. And dollar has not taken Asia's lows. So I will be looking to, what I look at this as, I'll be looking to go short in euro, even though I just said euro GBP is probably going to want me to go pound. But why I want to go euro here is because Asia respected it, right? Euro hasn't taken its highs, and pound has taken its highs. So in my head, it's showing that euro has more weakness, right? Euro wants to go lower, while the pound was willing to spike up a little bit higher instead, right? So I think I am going to go with euro here over the pound. Also because if I were to enter off the pound, what's going on here? You know what I mean? It just doesn't look like, what am I going to OTE this when the OTE has already gotten ran? You know what I mean? Obviously I could go with OTE for the overall range, but my OTE is an Asia to London OTE, not a overall, right? So this is more what I would be looking at. So I know I had just talked about the 30-minute closes, and I kind of want to be using that as a confirmation here, but at the same time I think I'm just good to enter, right? So like I could just enter right now and then my stop loss at the OTE, and then I could target previous day's low here, but at the same time I gotta try that 30-minute as a confirmation. So I think actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter half of my position now, and then I'll do the other half as an adjusted position. So I'm going to half my position on the OTE entry and then the other half my position on the 30-minute close entry. So I'll be right back. Alright, so I just entered my position right now for my OTE entry. Previous day's low comes in at 2.7 R, and then Asia's low pretty much is going to be just over 1 R. So obviously I'm not going to be wanting to take profit at 1 R, probably at least 1.5. And we'll see how the 30-minute close entry goes. Alright, it's looking like the 30 minutes about to close. If it engulfs this candle, then I'm going to add another position with the stop loss at this high. Alright, I just added the position, and wait, let me move my take profit. And now we wait and see. So we have the OTE, and then we have the 30-minute close engulfing the body of this candle. And also, I'm just going to move this stop loss to the 30-minute. Since I have my 30-minute stop loss here, I might as well just move the other one here as well. Alright, stopped out. Part of me is thinking, like, did I even use a 30-minute close here when it was obviously an OTE stage, right? With the 1 hour for value gap, Asia clearly displaced. But then obviously if it takes out Asia's lows, then it's like it doesn't really matter either way. I got the direction wrong, even though order flow is clearly bullish here, right? But we'll see how it looks when London ends. Alright, I'm just going over the charts again, because clearly I got the direction wrong. We'll see how the rest of the daily candle prints, but I'm pretty sure the daily is going to be bearish for DXY, because the bodies of these candles are respecting the new day opening gap, right? We've just been wicking through it. A higher time frame has clearly been bearish. We're inside of a weekly for value gap. 4 hour is bullish, right? But again, just looking at this is a giant daily wick, and then it closes back under it. Yes, we opened inside of it, but we've still been wicking and closing under it, right? So I feel like that is bearish intent. The only thing is that we haven't had a 4 hour bearish change in the state of delivery, right? And then on the 1 hour here, obviously this is just an opposing Asia range, right? I looked at this as, okay, Asia tapped into this new day opening gap and then displaced upwards, then I would just OTE off that. But I have to keep in mind that power of 3, right? For those who study ICT concepts, power of 3, there's no manipulation here. You know what I mean? This doesn't look good, and it's not like we just came off of manipulation either. All we came off of is a retracement, right? So it's not like, oh, manipulation and then displacement right as Asia opens. No, it's just retracement into a reversal, basically. Or another retracement, honestly, is what I'm looking at, right? Because we, like I marked here, we closed past this 1 hour for value gap, but we also did have a 1 hour change in the state of delivery, which I need to keep in mind, just like how I look at changes of the state of delivery for my entries on the 15-minute to dictate the higher time frame. I need to look at the 1 hour to dictate the higher. I already have an idea for the higher time frame, right? And then I already have a direction. Just looking at this, I'm like, this should honestly be bearish, and I should have gone with the bearish bias here, but I think me looking at the 4 hour and just seeing the steps is what convinced me I need to be bullish, right? Because I'm following that order flow, and I don't see a change in the state of delivery on the 4 hour, but I should be looking at the 1 hour, right? We've had this change in the state of delivery to the downside, and yes, we have closed past this bearish PD array, but at the same time, like I said, there's no manipulation, so it's unlikely that this is going to hold. And we're inside of a weekly for a value gap, bearish for a value gap, and we're inside of a new day opening gap, right? So it's basically just, I'm looking at this as Asia going into premium, and then obviously we see the reaction. So like I said, Asia opposing range. So what I do with this scenario is the 1 hour for value gap, wait for it to get closed through, which it did here right before, or actually right as London opened, right? And then I could look for 15-minute for value gap. On the DXY, 30-minute looks the best because of this 30-minute for value gap right here. And on the 15-minute, there is a little something right there, but it's very minuscule. On Euro, it looks a lot better, even though it's a gap. I know it looks bad, but it is better than having that small for value gap on DXY. So I would basically just be looking at this as a redelivered rebalance, right? Imagine the body of this candle opened right where this candle closed, right? This wick, I would look at that as fair value gap. So basically, if the body of this candle opened here, then the fair value gap would be from the close of this candle and the wick of here, right? So that's why we have this marked out. So that redelivered rebalance would basically just be my entry, then my normal fair value gap entry, and then obviously take profit, right? So my lesson here is, I'm really trying not to get annoyed, bro, because this is getting out of hand. This is not okay. Like I said, if I would have stuck to my plan and to my system, everything would be fine, but I'm just not. I'm usually really good with direction, but direction was just not here today. And I guess that happens, but I'm still disappointed in myself, obviously. But it doesn't matter because I see it and I'll see it next time, right? That's why I need to keep on telling myself. I can't be so negative to myself. I've gone on win streaks before and I know what I'm capable of, and that's what I need to focus on. Especially in times like this where I'm actually just doing so terrible. I need to just focus on what I know I can do. So I feel like it's important for me personally, at least, to be looking at this and telling myself I saw this, which I literally did. I literally saw daily is bearish. This is looking bearish. It's not looking good for bullishness. Yes, we've had the daily displace, have the daily change in the state of delivery because we displaced through the opposing bearish for value gap. And then we also had this daily candle close above, right? But what I didn't catch here, because I was just tunnel vision, I don't know why I don't see these things, but we closed through it and then we opened right below it. So that open is showing me rejection, right? Inside of a weekly for value gap, inside of the new day opening gap. So I see that now, and I'm obviously bearish. It's just frustrating. See, this is where I need to stop overthinking it because I feel like I talk in circles a lot of the time. The three main things I need to ask myself is, where have we come from, right? What did price just do? Where are we now in correlation to what price has just done? And where are we going in correlation to what price has just done, right? So I see this, right, as London opens, 30-minute for value gap. Same thing here, except no 30-minute for value gap. So then I drop down to the 15. I see this, which is basically just a fair value gap. Enter off of it, place stop loss like a normal fair value gap. And here I could have just honestly targeted Asia's highs for just over 2, actually 2.5 exactly. And then obviously just get rid of the OTE. So this is where I struggle because so many things are going on in my head, but I need to make sure that I don't overthink. It's really hard for me not to overthink. So that's what I'm going to be working on. Alright, so this is the next day. I was laying in bed and I was thinking to myself, I was like, maybe, this was the right direction. Maybe I should have done this. Maybe I should have done this. You know what I mean? And I realized that I was only focusing on entries when I was thinking about that. I was like, maybe I should have entered this or entered like this or done this or whatever. And I told myself, I realized that I went from focusing too much on the direction and then letting a lot of trades leave without me to now I'm focusing too much on the entry and I wasn't as focused on the direction, right? Obviously, in hindsight, we know that this day was just chop, just straight sideways. But on the daily, I was saying before, we were bullish order. We did have bullish order flow, but then on the daily and the weekly, it looked bearish, right? So I'm basically expecting the change in the state of delivery, right? So I don't think I was wrong in saying that the day should be bearish because we had the fair value gap cut through, right? And then obviously we came back under it and then tested it again and all that. But at the same time, there wasn't 4-hour or daily. 4-hour would obviously be preferred to see a change in the state of delivery for the daily, right? Or to see a daily candle close lower off of the weekly fair value gap or this new day opening gap, right? But since we haven't had any of those, we only had that 1-hour change in the state of delivery. It just wasn't as clean as I'd like it to be. So I think, in all honesty, it wasn't about the entries here. I think it was just about the direction. This was just not the best day to trade. We did have this candle react off of, like I said, the weekly fair value gap and the new day opening gap, right? So I think we were correct in going bearish dollar, but with the gaps and how these daily candles were forming and obviously the 4-hour price action, it just wasn't the best, right? So it is what it is. I did reset my account last night because I had like 0.01% left, like not even, I think like 0.10% that I could risk on the account. So I was just like, all right, I'm just reset it. So, yeah, I wrote down on my phone, literally right before I was about to fall asleep, I just thought of these things, and on my phone they're called trading focuses, so this is what I need to focus on when I'm trading. First one is, where did price come from? where is price at and where is it going, right? So, I mean, that's three different things to focus on right there, but that's one. And then the second one is don't overthink, right? How I was talking about my analysis paralysis and how I overthink in life, like in general. Then the third is direction, then entry. So I need to make sure I have the direction down and I'm confident in my direction. Then I can look for entries, right? And then in parentheses, I follow order flow, higher time frame to lower time frame, but remember to check for CISDs on the 1 hour / 4 hour for the daily / weekly order flow. So to simplify it, where price came from, where it's at, where it's going, don't overthink, and direction, then entry. So those are going to be my focuses going into my reset 50K challenge. The only way I'm going to trade tonight, this next daily candle, for Thursday, if the candle closes like this or lower, right, then I'll obviously look at that as a strong reaction. I'd prefer the candle to close under the weekly for value gap, because then that would show even a much stronger reaction than just closing lower, right? But if we do have this candle close lower, then I'm looking at as 1, 2, 3 wicks inside of a weekly for value gap, wick in the new day opening gap, and at least targeting Tuesday's low for this daily for value gap, right? So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just sitting here like watching my clips from last night, and I'm just shaking my head. Like, I'm just shaking my head, dude. This is crazy. Okay, you live and you learn.